Feels like I haven't been on in like a month.
No, right. It's crazy. A premium account on X is required to create live broadcasts. Really?
Scoop me in the truck late night on the humble. Meet me out in Queens or the city when the sun down. You can put your gun down. You can have fun now. You can tell your niggas that you won now. One down. Run through the clubs with the baddest. Bitches is the maddest. Nothing else matters. And they say Birkin with the baggage. Got a lot of bags, but we never got baggage. Winter Wonderland on my balance.
AI
London, Tokyo, Paris.
No AI themed bully songs.
No, dude, I was crazy right up until the moment that you popped in here. We're 3D printing, we're feeding puppies.
Yep.
It's been crazy.
Oh, I know the life, brother. Like I said, I was helping Samantha run pups in from pond, and then I was like, I got a few minutes, I'll put some more of this kennel together. And then she's like, hey, you got 5 minutes to be up there. I'm like, oh crap.
So I'm like, okay, intro, pre-intro, I guess you'd call it. I'm just like, YouTube video. That sounds good.
Warning, if you're faint of heart or easily offended, this show is not for you.
I don't give a damn about what you saying, bitch, you in the way. Closed case, my nigga beat the charges like yesterday. In your face, I'ma go hard and make sure you see the cake. Keep the pace, ain't no one fucking with me, this not a race. Doing the shit that I want, I'm never gonna stop, I'm never gonna give in. Making my way to the top, I told you to ride, I told you to get in. Now you can't eat out my pot, it's filled to the top, and I'm about to dig in. You say I was doing you wrong.
And we're back. After a week off. I didn't get...
I had two.
You had two? I didn't even actually get to talk to you yet about the Daytona show. You were there, right?
Yeah. Yep.
How'd that go?
It was good, man. What's up, Pablo? I think I saw Dina sighting. I had a Dina sighting.
Yep. She's the scroll. She just got done doing a precious.
Tell her she's got good taste in colored tops.
Yeah?
Is she wearing a...
We'll come. Don't want to see your shirt. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, look.
Respect the breed.
It's a green kind of day.
Yeah, it's green. What's up? What's up?
What's up, Graham?
Morning. Oh, yeah, that's right. Australia.
Oh.
It's like
top of the morning, Vanessa.
I think it's like 10 or 11 or something over there.
Bro, I wish it was 10, 11 here.
Wow, your whole day would be starting just now.
Yeah, I need 30 hours in a day, at least. At least 30 hours in a day.
Appreciate it. What did she say? And Miss Dina in the background. 9 a.m. Okay. So 7 a.m.
Right.
6 p.m. here, 9 a.m. there. That's quite the offset. So how was Daytona? How was the turnout?
Daytona was good. You know, we had a good time. You know, Rolando and Rob always know how to put on a good show. Trophies, excellent trophies, great venues. You know, it's summer in Florida, and the venue was nice and cold. So
yeah, it's good.
Oh yeah, that's really good.
That's where pretty much the good fell off, right? Because the airport went crazy.
Oh, yeah. It went crazy before that.
I'm just trying to get there.
Yeah, I was into. Thank you, Brandon. I got to meet Brandon there.
Oh, did
great
you?
Guy, yeah, great guy. You know, him and his wife and his kids. Great, beautiful family. But yeah, I wasn't supposed to be at that show. I was supposed to fly home and We got stuck at the airport, and they pretty much told us, "You ain't going nowhere."
Yeah.
So we had to. Oh, look at that! We had to book another flight, and the soonest they can get us was Sunday. So we're like, "Hey, might as well hit this show." And Carlos was gracious enough to take us with him. So
That's wild. That's wild. Yeah. That's wild.
it was a long weekend.
We had a one of our females there with Helen.
Yeah.
And she did pretty good. I think she got first and best female in show 1 and show 4. So good for her. She's a young dog.
She's a young. Oh man, she looks like Mac.
Yeah.
She's just this like blue brindle Mac.
Yeah.
Gorgeous fronts. She has Mac's head, nice spread.
See, the weird part is that was with Karen.
Yeah.
And to me, when I look at her, I see Karen in the face.
Mm.
I don't know. So, but they're pretty similar dogs. You know, they're just different sizes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But she's excited about her. And she's already talking, breeding and all this. And I was like, let's let the girl grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
You knew you get excited. But I'm like, I guess I got to start thinking about, who exactly we're going to breed her to. Because that essentially, in the beginning of picking your keepers, is at this point where you're thinking about what stud am I going to use.
Right.
Because you had to have some kind of some kind of reason to do the breeding in the first place, to figure out what I want to pick or what you're picking for. And that kind of starts with stud selection. So to evaluate, and it's tougher in my situation because I'm not around her every day, right? When you have the female right in front of her, you can kind of like tear the female down. You can say, okay, this is wrong with her. This is wrong with her. Kind of get an idea of what's going on, what she needs, and then go out and try to find a stud that can possibly bring the things that she needs to correct that.
Yeah, right.
But that's not always easy.
I mean, for us, I feel it starts, once, the female reaches maturity, both physical and mental, I mean, because she could be.
Before we get hey, guys, that pump the brakes, yo. Before we get on topic, do either of y'all plan to be influenced by the podcast video you shared last week? I checked out the full sit down, and it's definitely different. And I should have mentioned that in that previous video. Is like, I like some of the concepts that he shared. I don't have a problem with a lot of concepts he shared, but again, when this show is opinion based, it's 100% opinion. So if I tell you something, this is my opinion. If Hans tells you something, it's his opinion, and we will share other people's opinions. So this is this guy's opinion on breeding, and take it for what it's worth. That's what I'll say. Take it with a grain of salt, right? Did I like some of the concepts he talked about? Yes, absolutely, I did. But some of it, I don't know. We'll see. But that's a good question. It's a good question. In my opinion, it's good to just hear from other people, especially outside our community, right? And it's kind of
So unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the video. What does he breed?
Well, he's a chicken breeder, but he does a lot of consulting for dog breeders too. And he was on a dog breeding show, and he was talking about how they breed and how, for them, the outcross is the worst possible scenario, right? They're going to lose all their phenotype if they outcross. That's, in a lot of cases, that's true, right? If a lot of the times, if we have to go to outside blood, we end up losing a lot of phenotype because we've kind of tightly bred that phenotype and locked those features in, right? But when you go outside, you lose a little bit of that, right? Because now you brought new stuff in.
Right. You reset the genetics.
Right. Which he said that, but he was like aggressively pro inbreeding, I guess you could say. So I know a lot of people will be like, whoa, I don't know about that. And he was talking very long term. So he was talking about, hey, we're going to start with a breeding pair and we're going to create a family, right? And then branching, what he's basically talking about is branching that family out in two different directions, right? So when this branch gets a little bit too inbred, you bring this branch in to kind of, instead of an outcross, you're moving out to another part of the family. You know what I mean? Instead of a complete outcross. So, like I said, when I posted it, I said, this is going to be controversial for some people, like, because.
So, I mean, that's, if you want to really look into like COI genetics, the results of inbreeding, and then going out and then bringing back in. I mean, there's some dogs that are really nice because of that type of formula.
Yeah.
Debbie is a result of that similar type of formula.
But the other thing, and it's hard because if you're with a chicken breeder, how many generations can they go through and how fast? We can't do that with dogs.
Oh, hell no.
It takes us much longer than it does him. So a lot of
what is the incubation time for an egg to hatch?
I have no idea. It's not very long.
It's not very long.
No.
Dina.
I see Dina all the time.
With her little incubator?
Yeah, she does it. She incubates them. But
yeah.
I can't remember how long. I don't think it's very long, though. I don't think it. What's the longest you've kept a litter and evaluated before making a pick? Well, we're definitely getting there, brother.
What up, Jack?
But that is the word on that. Take that with a grain of salt. I wanted to share it with you because I'm an expand your mind kind of person, but I'm not no one has ever told me anything, and I just take it for fact. Even if they're an expert in the field, they get the information and then evaluate it and determine how I apply it to myself. So certainly, don't take what was said there. Take it for what it's worth to you. 21 days. There we go. 21 days for chicken eggs.
I knew somebody knew.
Yeah, I didn't pay.
Thanks,
she does it in the kitchen in the incubator thing, and all I know is I come home one day and I'm like, "What in the hell is that noise?" And there's like little chickens.
Yeah,
definitely proven process. Pros and cons. Get from outcross is non-plausible. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, we do outcrosses, but
yeah,
we kind of. I'm to the point now where I'm just kind of paying attention. Like when I do the outcross, what would I really gain from it? Like, what am I gaining? I need to do it for a purpose. I need to gain.
Right. Either you're too tight or you want to introduce a certain attribute phenotypically, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the other problem is like, let's say we're working with a certain type of blood, and regardless of whatever version of that dog, even if I go outside my yard, they may all have a particular flaw, and I can't get away from it in that blood. It's in every one of them. You know what I mean? It could be a muzzle length thing. It could be ear set. It could be anything, but everyone in that bloodline has it, and there's no way for me to get away from it. So the only way I'm going to bring in that new attribute, it may screw things up a little bit, but if I catch that particular attribute, it fixes the problem, then it's worth it. All right, I'm going to put you on hold for just a minute because it's getting hot as shit in here. I got an incubator going, and I got a 3D printer right next to me, and they're making toasty in here. So I'm gonna kick on a fan. Hold on a second.
All right. What's up, Chewy? Jack, I will not miss the 20th anniversary for anything. I will definitely be there, and I'm pretty sure Roger and Dina are shit. I'm pretty sure Dina already booked their hotel, so. You're still on mute, bro.
I do that all the time. Ain't that fun? It's at 18 to 25 COI on the low end, so you get 50% pretty fast.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I've got dogs in the 30s and 40s. It's not unusual. Let me see.
What's too much for you?
Me?
Yeah.
I think where I'm at right now. Well, the weird part is like, you know, I'm more looking at the dog than the COI.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I get it. Its coefficient inbreeding is like 50% or something. But if I look at a dog and he's healthy
and it doesn't, you're right.
And he's not falling apart, then yeah, I've just compounded a bunch of traits and he didn't go to shit. So
is that the limit, or do you take another step further to see what the limit is?
if the dog, yeah, I mean, and that's, it's bad to say because people are going to be like, that's not, you know, that's bad. But I would, if in reality, you know, I've got Future and he is inbred father to daughter, and his COI, I can't remember what it is right now. It's high though. And if I feel it would be, I'm going to look it up real quick just so I can say, if I think it would be beneficial, then I would still breed him to his own blood. Let me see what he is right now. Yeah, that's right. Truth was 46 and Future is 42. So it's high, but he's not falling apart. Like, he's in good shape. There's nothing wrong with him. You know, he has a good heart. Everything's good. Beautiful dog.
Yeah.
And I still think I can push it. His frame is still solid. Like, there's no issues with him. I still think I can push it.
What up, Dima?
What's up, Dima? American Bully doesn't have that big of a gene pool. That's right. First place, most of our outcrosses are still distant line breeds, and that is the truth. That is the truth. Because, I mean, they all lead back to one dog, don't they?
Oh, yeah. Well,
most of them.
The bullies.
Yeah. Well, Dax is Dax. I mean, Dax introduced look, and you can look at a dog and you can tell that that's a Dax dog. It just is what it is.
I mean, there were other dogs outside of Dax that had that bulliness, that next level bulliness, you know. I think he's just the most prominent in history, right?
Right. Well, the most productions, so the most influenced of that generation. I don't think there were any dogs that put down more litters than him.
And just the different strands, the different lines of what people call their foundation bloodline is a direct result of them breeding their female to Dax, right? I don't know any other dog in history that, you know, can create their own line off breeding to one dog.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. Yeah, and and the guy with the chickens, that's what he said. And I was like, oh, Jesus, you say these to dog people, they're going to lose their shit. Because basically he's saying, I'm just going to inbreed them and inbreed them and inbreed them until I get a hatch, whatever he does, whatever they are. You know, when he hatches and they're just jacked up.
Three-legged, two-beaked chickens.
Yeah. And then he's like, then I just know the previous generation is one I stick with. I was like, okay, I get it. Because you can put your F-ups in a pot and eat them.
Look, bro, I'm going to tell you right now.
You know what I'm saying?
If he starts producing four-winged, fucking four-legged chickens, I love wings, bro.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. You keep doing it. Send them my way.
Old school blood nowadays. 99% bullies have Dax. I just can't do it. I cannot do it. Breed it till it breaks was the old heads. Yeah. I mean, and honestly, I don't think I really changed that much. I've seen some different styles. Don't get me wrong, but that one does exist still. Breeding has a bully side for sure. Exactly.
I mean, how else do you find out? You know, risk takers, the ones that have succeeded from taking risk, they're on another level to your ordinary breeder. you know.
Well, what it is like people, I guess people get happy with where they are, and then they just start line breeding that, and then they just say, okay, this is it, because they don't want to push it too far and produce something undesirable, right? But again and again, we have the most dogs that are in the most demand are generally dogs that are a dog that's pushed too far, bred to another dog that's maybe not pushed as far, but you know what I mean? Like very compounded traits dogs are put together and create kind of the next level.
Yeah.
But that gets into, you guys really need to get into mitochondrial DNA. And that's the female is the only one that carries the mitochondrial DNA. And we see over and over in time, we see excellent dogs that come from excellent females. And those females, pretty much regardless of who they're bred to, still produce great dogs. American Bully is a push and keeps pushing the limits. 5 years from now, you have irrelevant dogs if you don't push it all and just stay comfortable. I can't say I disagree.
It's a progressive breed. It's always been a progressive breed.
I like the fact that we haven't had anybody come in yet and be like, "You guys are full of shit," you know. But kind of in the same mind. So
there is that argument.
Yeah. But on the subject, we can say that's where we start. We start to choose a stud. And when you see a breeding, hey Presh, what you doing? When you see a breeding and you see the stud they chose, it tells you a lot, right? It tells you a lot. They choose a particular stud, you see their female, and then you can put 2 and 2 together, and you can tell pretty quickly that either A, this person knows what they're talking about, or B, they don't know nothing. And they're just breeding to the hype, right? Because there is a case for using every stud. There is a case for it because they bring a particular thing. But if that female is also broken in the same area he's broken, then what were you hoping to fix? You weren't going to fix anything. So,
I mean, you're really gambling with your last dollar. Yeah. You know, at that point.
And there's a lot of truth to that because this ain't cheap. Like,
no,
we probably have the cheapest C-section prices that I've heard lately. And even with that,
at what price?
Ours is, I think it was $700.
Yeah. I've heard cheaper. I just don't think they're anywhere near us.
Yeah.
I think I heard like Arkansas or New Mexico somewhere, it was like $500.
Right. Yeah, no. Ours, I think when we first started, I think ours was like $500 or $600, but it's went up a little bit.
Because you keep going back.
Yeah. Well, think about, but yeah, we're gonna start punishing these people.
Yeah.
But no, if you think about that, you're like, you got a stud fee. You've got if you do a surgical, then you got a C-section and all that. Jack Smith, I'm moving to West Virginia. Yeah, I had a guy message me the other day and be like, "Yeah, I paid $3,000." I'm like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah. Malachi, Southwest Missouri, 400 or 500, dude.
500 for an emergency. Wow.
All right, Kendall. Kendall's in Illinois,
right?
That's not too far.
C-sections of 500. Yeah. There. Some of y'all get abused. Some of y'all.
This is more relatable to us.
12 to 1,500. Yeah, that seems. Yeah, with the emergency being $3,000. So making the wrong choice is costly. It is very costly.
Brian.
And Brian just had a litter himself. 3 of us all had about the same time.
Congratulations, all 3 of you.
Yeah. There are some places in Illinois that want 2,000 and better. Well, hell's that? Especially if someone
bring your vet some flowers, bro.
Yeah, and a tip.
Yeah.
But so it starts with that stud choice, and not because he's popular. And I wish people would get away from that. I wish people would look at a stud for what he brings and not his popularity. I understand you have to sell puppies, and at the end of the day, the more popular the stud is, the more likely you are to sell puppies. So I get
at a higher end
right
price tag.
So I understand you, and you can see that motivation lots of times. Oh, I use this stud, and then they just get a shit-eating grin on their face. And I can tell right then, you couldn't tell me why you did it, because I can tell by the smile on your face. You think just dropping that name is supposed to impress me. And that
Right.
you never gave it a second thought of why you're breeding to that dog, So unfortunately, lots of times buyers don't get to see the female, and all they see is pictures of the male, and they have to make a judgment call based off of, a breeding banner, and they're choosing dogs based off of popularity, not off of how to improve their female.
Right.
So that's the hardest part. So picking that, did I see? There's Helen, South Florida. There you go. So that's the hardest part, is picking the male, why you're doing it. What are you trying to accomplish with the male? And be ready to have a conversation with somebody about that. Be ready to be responsible if someone says, why'd you do that breeding? Why'd you pick that male? You should be able to rattle off. It should be pretty easy. It's right there on the tip of your tongue. It's why you picked him in the first place. Why? What did you do that for? Why did you want to fix it?
Yeah, I mean, like somebody had mentioned, like Evan right here, you may not have the clients to move pups for that price. Have to be careful with that. And it's true, because you can do the most hype breeding in the world. If no one knows who you are or your reputation, I mean, an educated person could see what's, what you did and what's in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
But how's your network to put yourself in front of those type of people, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. But you don't and I've heard stories of some guys that, they had a good female that did a breeding to some other stud, and they sold all their puppies for $8,000, and God bless them, right? But people get an unrealistic expectation.
Right.
Hey, I'm going to do the same thing, right? Maybe this guy, he's very, what is that word? He has a way with talking with people, right?
Mm-hmm.
He knows
how to gift of gab.
Yeah, and he's just he's just that guy that he has a way of putting it out there, and everyone pays attention to him. And maybe you're not that guy, right? Maybe he sold all them puppies because everyone already knew who he was. He just got into breeding. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of stuff behind marketing those puppies. 700 in Buffalo. Not terrible.
That's not too far from me.
Yeah. So that's a hard point, is like, you're going to pick a $7,000-$8,000 stud to breed to, and you've never had a litter before, and no one knows who you are.
Right.
And you're going to be in deep shit, because no one's going to want to buy a puppy from you because they don't know you. But at the same time, that's why people generally pick those hype dogs. They pick those most popular dogs. That way they can turn those puppies over.
Yeah.
So, but then you have other people that breed the dogs you may have never heard of, right? And they're trying to build generations. So we have dogs behind that people never see. They don't know nothing about. I have dogs I don't put out there for the most part. Well, every once in a while, people ask me why I don't show Karen, and I'm like, Karen's my secret. I keep her back. I throw a picture up every once in a while, but But Karen's one of those dogs. I mean, I could take her to a show. She'd do great. I really think she would do well. But she's got the secret sauce. She's that dog right there. She's one of my favorite. Her and Precious, obviously, are one of the two females that I'm just like super, super excited about seeing. I know Dina showed me some. Yes, she probably did. She'll show everybody everything. She's bad about that.
Yeah. She's just proud. She's just proud.
She is. There's no doubt.
Okay.
I can't walk over there, so I'm just going to do this.
Pressy.
There she
Hi,
is.
baby.
I just want to make sure she
What's
was,
up, girl?
you know, mama laying on a dog. No, she's doing her thing.
Mm-hmm.
Doing her thing. But so that's where it starts. And I want you to pay attention. I want you to see the male, and that means you can't see the male by a photo. You have to go to where the male is. Or you have to find someone you trust
Yep.
that has seen the male. And
Right.
so I can tell you this, I can tell you about that male.
It's not just someone you trust, someone who has similar styles in the dogs that you like. Right? Because you might be good friends with someone who wants to build an ultimate show dog, but he breeds classic style dogs, right? And then you tell him to go look at an extreme dog, he's just going to tell you everything bad he sees, right? The movement's not there, paddling, the top line's a little off, or whatever it is. Maybe it's front-loaded shoulders. The things that he prefers in a dog, he's going to tell you the opposite, right? Because you're not looking at the same thing. It's two different styles of dogs you like. So you gotta trust the person's opinion, and the other side is trust the breeder. Like if it's a breeder I trust, if Roger's like, I got the male for you, bro. He's this, and this. I trust it because we have some very similar taste in dogs. He knows what I would be looking for if I was to look in a male. So those are the only really three ways I would consider picking a stud. But ultimately, I'm the one breeding the female. I need to see the stud in person.
Right. Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's up to you. So if you have someone you can trust and they lead you down the wrong road or they tell you the wrong thing, it's still your fault, because you didn't go see him. Yeah. Someone said something about how do you build your clientele. Honestly, it's different for everybody. For us,
especially your personality too. Yeah. Depends on your personality.
For us, the best way to do it was to cut my wife loose with a dog and let her go travel every ABKC show, stack off, you name it. She went everywhere. Shook hands with people. People got to know her. People got to know the dogs. The dogs were out. People were seeing them. And I think that's in the next generation that I get that I really like. And I say, okay, this is the dog we're pushing. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'll put the dog in a van and be like, go get him, girl.
Yeah.
And let her go do her thing. I think that's honestly the best way to do it. I don't know. Are there people that still successfully promote a dog just via pictures only?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
There are? Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's breeders out there with top studs that don't normally go out.
Well, I'm just saying
ever
in the last year or so. Yeah, there's some 5-6-year-old studs that have been out a while. You know what I mean? And I feel like the older the dog gets, the less that has to come out.
Yes. I mean, the older the dog gets, the less it should be out. I don't know. There's those breeders that promote merely off of pictures and videos that would welcome you to come check out their stud.
Yeah,
they avoid the risk in bringing a high profile stud out to the public.
That makes
because sense. There is a risk.
Yeah,
there's a risk. There are, and unfortunately, there are hateful ass people.
Yeah,
And then, you know, depending on how well that dog does with the weather, how well that dog does with anxiety. You
Mhm.
know, a dog shows a completely different style of environment,
Oh yeah,
something that no dog has experienced until going to a dog show.
I don't bite you.
You know, so
Yeah, exactly. Well, and someone said clientele builds clientele, which is a good point, because if you're out there, you're shaking hands with people, they see your dog, they put hands on your dog. That this community is not tight-lipped. Like they
Mhm.
talk, you know what I mean? So someone's going to be like, "Man, I just went to a show and I saw his dog and he was badass," you know, and he's going to go and tell his friends, and then they're going to tell their friends, and then it's a word of mouth thing. But it's it's so weird because how many dogs have we seen to rise to the top that were by far not the perfect dog? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
They had substantial traits that were beneficial,
Oh,
but
absolutely.
by far not the perfect dog, right? Which,
I mean,
what happens in that instance? We also have a large segment of our community that focuses on everything that's wrong with a dog instead of everything
Mhm.
that's right with a dog.
right.
So you better be prepared that you're going to have naysayers, period. I don't care who you are. Because people, there are going to be people that trash your dog. The more popular he gets, the more he's going to get trashed. And that's just how it is. It's just something you have to be used to. You can't let none of that get to you, though. Just have to keep
Right.
moving forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I say build your clientele. Be good to people. Just be good to people. Just
Be genuine. Be honest. Stand on what you say. You know, that goes a long way, regardless if you're starting off or at the very top. Stand on what you say. You agree to a deal, stick to it. You know, but nowadays everything is, you know, pen to paper. So if a deal is made and it's signed by both parties, it's got to be withheld. You know,
yep. That is
um,
what it is.
but going out to shows, being in the community helps the community understand who you are.
And understand where your dog fits,
Hmm.
because there are some dogs that can have an amazing career if they don't go to don't they stay away from ABKC, right? They'll have a great career as a stud dog doing their thing. And then you have some
Yeah.
dogs that'll have amazing careers because they go to shows. You could take dogs, some dogs that go to shows wouldn't get any attention at these, other types of shows. Um, so it's just kind of a get in where you fit in situation. Get in where that dog fits in is what you've got to do.
Yes, because there's every flavor out there.
Yeah.
Someone is gonna like, vanilla bean, freaking dark chocolate, whatever it is, whatever the flavor is, cookies and cream. Someone out there, that's their jam, that's what they want. Your dog fits their, every requirement they're looking for.
Right. Jack, I was kind of hinting toward uh, non-registry type of shows, if you get what I'm saying. So there's shows that just registries aren't involved. They're just show up and show us your dog. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of show. Meet and greet kind of things. Yeah, fun
show. Meet and greets.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take. There's some dogs that I know for a fact that are very popular in the community, and if you put them in a BRC ring or an ABKC ring, they would tear them to shreds if they did that. And that you'll never see them at one of those events. Just is what it is. Who you let your dog. And let's see, Justin said, be strategic about who you let your dogs, especially some of your best quality stuff. Who you let your dogs, nothing worse than a top-notch dog that is owned by someone who never promotes or shows the dog. Amen to that. Amen to that. So it's where we got to the stud part. We've picked a stud. Now we've done breeding, right? And then this is where all the potential for Heartbreak Begins, because now we have to wait. We've done our breeding, whether we did a C-section, whether we did AIs, whatever it was. And now we have to wait 30 days before we can have a peek and pray to God something's in there.
Mm-hmm.
This year so far, we're in July, and we've missed more this year than we've missed since we've been in the American Bully. They just don't know why. This is our year to miss. I know. I think it was last year was your guys' year to miss everything, right?
Yeah. We were pretty busy at home last year. This year, I don't know.
You had a lot to take this year, right?
But no, we're 2 number 1 dogs right now. So
What was that?
we're pushing 2 number 1 dogs.
Oh, okay.
So we're always outside.
Yeah. So you got no time for breeding right now, I guess, huh?
No, we've skipped a handful already. So
It happens.
next year we're probably gonna be, where everyone in the lab.
Well, that's the problem is you really can't take too much time off of it. You can imagine if you stop breeding for 1 year, you're how far behind
you're left behind. Yeah,
you're in trouble because there's people that are there are guys that you don't even know. You don't know nothing about them. You ain't never heard of them, and all they do is breeding. They just do breedings. They stay back. They're doing breedings. They're building their yard. You don't know. They're just going to pop out one day. You're going to be like, where the hell did this guy come from?
Yeah.
Too many people.
Who the hell's this dog?
Yeah. Too many people jump into it too quick. I bought a dog or I had a litter and they jump into it and they just try to tell everybody who they are. Right. And I'm as guilty of it as anybody else. Try to get out there. Hey, this is a dog. This is a dog. But you didn't build a foundation. You have no fundamentals. So you have nothing to show, so you may gain some level of popularity, but you don't have the foundation behind it yet to maintain it.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to do breeding. You got to put stuff together. There's guys that's been doing this a long ass time.
Oh yeah.
And some of those people are very quiet. This is torture. He's taken his 7 daughter to Terrence, who was it again? Who was that big ass dog from a couple years ago? Jacksonville Stackoff. What's his name said? Go get that motherfucker out of the truck.
Oh, Shamrock?
Shamrock. There we go. I'm pretty sure it's Shamrock. He's going. Yeah, so he took a 7 daughter to Shamrock. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
2 monsters colliding.
I'm like he's trying to make XLs. I think is what he's trying to do. He's like, I'm gonna make these big ass dogs.
That's 2 big ass dogs.
Let me see. Would you 2 take one of your she-males to a stud with mass and clean breathing? Who would you take?
What do you mean by clean breathing?
Or would you take a she-male like that? I don't know. I get that. Would you take one of your she-males to a stud with mass and clean breathing? Who would you take?
You want to know what stud you would use? That's got mass and clean breathing.
There's no shortcuts, brother. You have to go see some dogs.
Yeah, go see some dogs.
Because honestly, there are dogs I use that are not in my yard that I would use them because I know what I'm using them for. But I can't tell you what stud to use because I don't know what your female needs.
Look, I'm gonna do a PSA real quick. Okay. Everybody on here that wants to see some studs, go to shows. Go to shows where they're promoting some form of stack off, right? You're going to see some extreme dogs come out. And if you want something in particular, September 20th and 21st, Paulina is throwing a show in Indiana.
That's right.
And you will see some of the baddest bulls on the planet. I promise you. You want to search for studs, see him in person, go to that show in September. Paulina's show in September.
Boom, boom. Look her up. Look her up.
Look her up.
Phillips Wilcox. He wants to see some studs. I'll send you some selfies later, brother.
You talking about, Phil? You are a stud. Look in the mirror, bro. Look in the mirror.
But yeah, you want to go check out some studs? Look, Google that name right there, or not Google it.
Facebook searcher.
Yeah, and you're gonna find her. And hopefully, she's promoting the show well on her personal profile. And then get all the details for that show. What's up, Westy?
That man right there. That man produces top-notch studs as well.
He's for a better bite. Who has mass, ridiculous bone? Well, head rear is pretty. A better bite. I mean, I don't. Bites are. I mean, who? I don't know. All my dogs have good bites.
Well, mine too.
I don't know. You just have to go see dogs. Just go see dogs.
He does, though. That's the thing. Kendall's outside.
That's right. Go see dogs. And then, you know what? Me as a stud owner, I don't know. You probably wouldn't be offended if someone walked up and they were looking at my dog and they said, "Can I see his bite?"
Oh, hell no. You know why? Cowboy's got a fucking beautiful bite.
Yeah. I'd be like, absolutely.
Beautiful bite.
His bite. Max even and 7 is better. What do they call that? Normal. The normal guy. Good bite. Yeah. Where Max is just even. So I don't have a problem showing anybody bites. But that's not a thing that I could give a shit about, to be honest with you. That's like the last thing I give a shit about. If I had a dog that moved great, everything was perfect, everything was the way I wanted, and he just had a bad bite, I'd be like, I could care less. We'll fix it later. I ain't even worried about it. Last thing I'm worried about. That's not Rocco that I might not have seen. I don't know, brother. I only really mess with 2 bloods at this moment. That might expand down the road, but right now I'm doing my muscle tone stuff, the Poland version of my muscle tone stuff, and my Rocco, and that's what I'm doing.
3 dogs come to mind. 4 actually, Jack.
What dog when you saw him, you were shocked based on size?
And Roger will attest. When I saw 7 for the first time, I handed him $500 and locked him on the spot.
I think I was shocked when I saw him.
Grim will give you chills. That's what that dog did to me. Oscar, that dude's Oscar's mind-blowing. And I say 4.
I think it was 3 or 4.
3. I'll leave it at 3.
Okay. So picking your stud. Like I know we're in the subject. We'll bounce around tonight, so just be prepared. If you've never been here to the show before, we're definitely never staying on track. But we always try to circle back around. So we picked our stud. We've done our breeding. We waited our 30 days, and then we look to see how many puppies we're going to get. And it could be heartbreaking sometimes, right? Maybe you get a singleton, maybe you get 3, maybe you get 4, maybe you get 13. Probably whatever you don't want is what you're going to get. Seems like to me. I hate huge litters. I don't want 13 puppies. I don't want 15 puppies. I just want 5 or 6. That's all I want.
Right.
I don't want 9, because my main focus right now is not necessarily selling puppies. My main focus is to keep what I have, whether that's in my yard or co-owned with someone else. It's just to maintain my yard and see what turns out, what turns into what, and that's hard to do with 13 puppies.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard.
Yeah. I'm like 6, 7. 6, 7 is, to me, is the perfect litter. You should.
Yeah.
You absolutely should.
Just gotta look at them. That's all you can do. What do you do with 6 males and 3 females? That ratio is usually backwards.
Okay.
Is it not?
I mean, depends.
I mean,
Depends what your goal is, right? You
Yeah.
keep all 3 females. Duh.
but you got 6 males to choose from. Man, that's nice. I gotta say, that is nice.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm good with no double digits.
Yeah. No, I definitely
no double digits.
Actually, what the hell are you doing? But
6
yeah,
sounds like a beautiful
5,
number.
6 is good for me. Anything over 8 is overwhelming, says Philip.
So my perfect litter size and ratio. Give me 4 girls and 2 males.
4 girls and 2 males. Yeah, that'd be all right. Fresh, what do you want? Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at that, because I mean you're kind of female focused, right? Like your focus is on females. You just want to be generational females for.
I mean, yeah. Ultimately, I don't want a stud farm. I want 2 nice working studs and like 8 to 10 females.
Right.
That's like beautiful to me.
Right.
You know.
I think this guy wants to know most athletic, a good breed. I guess that's what he's talking about. Is like dog that breeds well. I have
that's perfect.
4 female, 2 male right now.
That's awesome.
I don't blame you at all. And I don't know if he's talking like breathe, like pit bull breathing, because American bullies don't. They just don't. They have short muzzles. They're brachycephalic. They don't run outside for a long time. They just don't. That's just not what our breed is for. It just doesn't do that. You want a dog can run outside for hours? Find another breed.
Yes, it does, Westy.
So we have our puppies. Let's just say we have our puppies. Are you, Han? Are you immediately looking at the moment they show up?
No. I'm gonna look at them. Yeah, sure. I'm gonna be in awe. Oh wow, they're beautiful. They're healthy. They're heavy.
They look like an alien.
They all have smashed faces, big round top skulls. They all, they all look the same. I don't really look at a puppy until they're starting to eat mush. And even then I'm not looking at anything specific. I'm just looking at them overall, I don't, some people can, they found success picking it out of the whelping box at 2 hours old.
Right.
I'm not that guy. I can't do it. I'm not that like committed to, I want to change my fucking mind.
Exactly.
I want to change my mind. I don't want to take any deposits because I don't know which one I want. I don't know if you're going to have any of them, to be honest. So I don't know.
That's going to be, and for me, another thing, I have some experience at this point that I can say that there are certain flaws that don't show up at 6 weeks. They don't show up at 8 weeks. Can't wait to make you that. What's he doing?
We got some things in the works.
I got you. So there's certain flaws that you may be looking for, but understand that a young pup, an 8-week pup, doesn't necessarily show that flaw yet.
Right.
I've seen lots of dogs that have ended up with very stiff stifles, like pretty much straight in the rear, right? But at 8 weeks, they look just like all their litter mates.
Right.
They had good angulation. They moved great. It wasn't until they got older that happened. So you can, at what point you have to be confident at that point. Now, if you have a female that has good angulation, good stifles, you have a male that has good angulation, good stifles, then yeah, you probably don't have to worry about that. But if one of them in the equation does, then that may constitute you keeping that puppy even longer to make sure, or a set of puppies even longer to make sure that they don't suffer from that you eliminated that was your
Right.
was to eliminate that.
I mean, I feel like it's I mean, keepers and like first picks, holdbacks, whatever you want to call them, they're different for everybody.
Yeah.
Because your overall goal, your end goal is different than everybody. Someone might want to create the next big stud or their next possible stud. Someone might be targeting the show ring. Someone may be doing the breeding to create big bully broodstock bitches, right?
Yeah.
We all want something different. You know, so you really got to ask yourself, why did you do the breeding?
Mm-hmm.
What are you trying to incorporate?
Yeah.
You know, I get asked all the time, like, how do you make your picks? How do you pick out of this litter? I'm like, my pick is going to be different than your pick. I didn't do the breeding. You did the breeding. You should know what you want out of it, right?
Exactly. Yeah, Justin made a good point there. Some dogs look like shit until they get older, and you know, and I've been meaning to sit down and have a conversation with Sam, because there was a particular dog not long ago that it really wasn't that long ago. Like, I went over to his house more than a couple times and like, what are you doing with these pit bulls? Like, where are you gonna get rid of these dogs? Like, they're just not, you know what I'm saying? And he just kept holding on to him. And I've been meaning to ask him, why did you hold on to that dog? Why did you hold on to that dog? I'm trying to see. I like to know what he saw in it, because that's not part of my equation. Like, when I see a particular dog and it just shows me nothing, you know, well, it shows me like, oh, it moves great, you know, but it doesn't have any of those extreme features. It doesn't have any of that, what I'm looking to keep, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then at a year and a half or 2 years old, all of a sudden, boom, there it is. You know what I mean? And I'm like, how did he know it was going to do that? Or did he?
Right.
Did he even know that it was going to do that? Did he just have some faith in that breeding? Was there somebody in that breeding that he did that he knew was slow, and maybe he kept it because of that? You know what I mean?
Right.
So there are variables that only the breeder really knows. You know, people,
maybe he's done that breeding before.
It's possible. It's possible. I can't even remember the dog's name, to be honest with you. But what I remember, because he's another one. Let me tell you what, that man had so many dogs you've never seen before. It's ridiculous. He's showing you what, 2 right now. He's got so
I'm
many.
gonna bring a shopping cart next time I go over there.
But it's one of those things where, you know, some dogs will look like a damn pit bull. You know what I mean? For a long time, they'll look scrawny, and one day they'll just pop. So you got to know that blood. And when you're new, that's super tough, right? Because you don't even know your own dog. You don't even know your own dog.
Right.
When Precious has this newest litter and that puppy popped out, and I mean, this puppy's a day old, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, I've seen this before. Like, I can go back and look at her previous litters and look at her previous puppies and put this dog in the same position as that other dog from that other breeding. They look almost exactly the same. But what do I don't know, because now the stud's different. So something may change. Something might be different. They look the same as they did last time, but it doesn't mean they will this time. So it's hard to tell. But currently they look, you know, like history. Luxury of having space to hold on to stuff. Amen to that.
Yes. That's a big factor.
And that was another thing the chicken guy was talking about, right? A lot of, you know, he was just like, you won't have, well, he was taking pins, but he's like, you never have enough pins. you'll build some more and you'll build some more and you'll build some more. So basically what this guy's telling me is that he's breeding and breeding and breeding and keeping and keeping and keeping and just, you know, and then at that point you've got 7, 8, 9 examples from a breeding. And you can wait until they're grown and then look at them and just decide you're going to keep the best of the best.
We got to try to get that guy on.
Yeah, but the problem is that, and I imagine people in this group or in the chat can attest to this, when you've kept a puppy until it's 7 or 8 months old to make your final decision, those puppies are problematic. They're hard to sell now, right? A lot of people want to buy a puppy. They want to buy a puppy. They don't want to buy a dog. You know, in that 7, 8 months, these dogs are looking like dogs. You know what I mean?
Unless you're a breeder.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess then you're right. Yeah. Then someone will be like, hey, this dog's 8 months old. You know, it's going to be ready to breed faster. But at the end of the day, the most marketable dogs that everyone gets excited about are puppies. They love puppies, 8, 9 week old puppies. You know what I mean?
The bonding time, right?
Yeah. But you letting it go for the sake of being able to sell it quickly, I mean, there's another problem now, isn't it? Like, you may get rid of the dog you should have kept.
Yeah.
Oh, she had it in her. But that's the thing. It's like Justice. That's a good example. That's Machiavelli to Karen. Like, there was no way that bitch wasn't going to be nice. There's no way. It couldn't. There's no way. There's no way that dog couldn't have had phenotype. Every dog out of that litter had some excessive and some not as much, but they all had good phenotype. That really wasn't, that was never a question.
Let me speak to this real quick. I agree and disagree. I agree when it comes to an established breed. And if you're looking at strictly show prospects, right? I do not agree when it comes to our breed because they change so drastically. We have not dialed in everything about these breeds. You breed a German Shepherd, 99% expectation for results. With ours, it's always a gamble. It's always a variant. You should hope to know what to expect, but you're going to get surprised. You know.
Yep. And it depends on the breeding too. You know, I've had dogs that at 8 weeks, and then they turned a year and a half, and they look shape wise the exact same way they did at 8 weeks. And then I've had dogs that looked a certain way when they were 8 weeks, and they did not turn out the way. No, not even close.
So we made what we normally do is we'll out of a litter, we'll probably hold back 3 or 4. And we'll hold them back till 8, 9 months. And then we'll make our decision. It's not, I'm looking for one thing. I'm looking for, in all honesty, I'm looking for maturity. That's a luxury most breeders don't have, right? The time and capacity to let your productions grow to a point where you can truly evaluate them.
Right.
You know, some people want, you know, there's those like, you know, the big butthole, the space between the teeth, the eye separation, the whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, and that's, hey, look, there's our guy right now. This is the guy that had the chicken breeder on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Appreciate you stopping in. But yeah, I just came across that video and I was like, kind of just sit there and watch the whole thing. It was like no way I was getting away from it. I had to watch the whole thing. But for us, you know, what we're dealing with is a number of structural issues that are throughout our breed. right? And some of them show up early, some of them show up late, you know. And then there are certain things I can't remember. I have to see some puppies because there are some dogs out there floating around right now that like their shoulder sets like way too far forward. We're seeing that. We're seeing that a little bit. We're seeing, you know, straight stifles. We're not seeing the best movement in the world.
I want to see layback in the shoulders.
In the shoulders, yes.
Because then you get nice pronounced forechest.
Yeah.
Right. Now you get a barrel, you know, well, not the bad term of barrel chested, but you get a nice round
kind of bulging chest muscles.
Bulging chest, right, exactly. An emphasized chest, right?
Yeah.
And you only achieve that with proper layback of the shoulders. Exactly. A lot of these dogs are front loaded on their shoulder assembly. So their chest isn't as pronounced, right?
It's wide.
It's wide, but it's not as pronounced, right? There's maybe a lack of chest drop because of it, right? It's the difference between walking around like this and walking around like this, right? I'm wider with my shoulders back.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, that's something you got to, and I don't have enough experience with that particular thing to know when it begins to show itself. I don't know when it starts to show itself.
You could usually see it in a young puppy. Well, I wouldn't say a young puppy because I would say 4-month mark. You shouldn't usually change past the 4-month mark. But what I do notice changes a lot is turn to stifle.
Mm-hmm.
If you're picking a puppy, you know, so what we do is we'll stack our puppies and we take pictures of every angle of that puppy. And then we do a collage of all the puppies and we just analyze the shit out of it, right? That's how we bring it down to, so from 8 to 3 or 4, right? But one thing you'll notice is if you pick a puppy that has decent rear angulation, decent turn to stifle, it's probably not going to be there when they're an adult.
Right.
If you want a show dog with a great rear, you got to look for extended angulation in the rear end.
Almost too much.
Exaggerated turn to stifle.
Yeah.
You have to.
Yeah. Because they're going to do nothing but lose it the older they get.
Yeah. And length of back. A lot of people want short backs, right? But if you're trying to build a proper dog, it's all about balance. You can't have proper rear movement on a short back dog, right? You need that drive off the rear.
Yeah. Because the shorter
those are things that we look at.
They don't have that flex.
Right. Those are things we look at as puppies. And then it narrows down our 8 to 4, 3, 4. And then we just let them mature.
Yeah.
You know? We'll let them mature to like 8, 9 months. And then we'll make our decision.
That's a good question. Faith.
Dina.
But no, I mean, in reality, that was 100% Faith pick because it was 0 to Remy to Hemi. And when we picked 7, I think he weighed 7 pounds at 8 weeks. He was nothing special. He was nothing to look at. Yeah, I can bring up pictures of 7 at 8 weeks, and you would be like,
"Oh, I saw 7 when you brought him back from Chicago. You brought him to Virginia, and I'm like, that's a cute little ass puppy." And then, you know, a year and a half later, he's 100 plus fucking pounds, and it's like, dude.
Yeah. And there's no way we could have predicted that. There's no way any breeder could have predicted that. There's just no way. The only way is because you saw Dad 0, which everyone knows who that dog is, right? And Remy to Hemi. I mean, if you looked at her, you know, and it was a perfect blend of those two dogs.
Mm-hmm.
But Joe, there was not one friggin' thing particularly about him
that stood out
from
other than he was cute.
Yeah.
He was
He
a cute pup.
he had a little better top skull than his sister because it was between a male and him. It was a female and him, and he had a little bit better top skull. I felt like he had a little bit better head shape than she did. But other than that, they were pretty damn close. They were pretty damn close, and she didn't turn out nothing like him. Nothing at all. Who were some of the breeders you looked up to? And then, so in itself, you have to look at mom. Do you feel like, I'll tell you this, hon, and that guy doing that interview, that NWA Connie Corso, they said that on here too. If you're not happy with the basic of what your female is, then you're not going to be happy with the litter.
No. And it took time to come to this realization. If there's a trait I cannot fucking stand, and my female has that, you can guarantee it's coming back.
Yeah.
I don't care. You can breed it to a damn fucking bloodhound that's asleep 23 hours out of the day. That hyperdrive shit, the crazy shit, that's going to come back.
Yeah.
There's no way in masking certain traits. So if there's something you don't like, excessive barking, hyperactivity, whatever, like extra clingy, whatever it is, personality wise, you don't like in a dog, don't breed it, because it's going to come back.
Right.
Now you're going to be stuck with a litter of that.
This is true. Now, a lot of the drive, a lot of the energy, there's a lot of aspects that aren't physical, right? That come from mom due to, her DNA. And we had just mentioned it earlier, but that left my brain. But she passes those traits on. So if I go to one of the things about Precious is like a water biter. She loves to bite the water hose, right? Every one of her daughters are the exact same way. It's just something they got. And I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that's mitochondrial DNA exactly, but what it is that energy processing ability and a lot of the drive, I feel like that comes from the female. Right. So, and then another thing that happens is we want to talk about when you're doing when you do an outcross, right? That changes things a little bit. Right. And there's a term for that. I can't remember what it was. Give me just a minute. There's a term for that, and I can't remember. I can't for the life of me. Hold on. But a hybrid vigor. There we go. I knew it'd come back. I'm getting old, people. Bear with me. So when you do an outcross, there's an effect called hybrid vigor, right? And that's, you are going to gain some as far as function, or not necessarily functionality. We say like the drive and the energy level and a lot of that stuff you're going to get from the outcross, right? But that doesn't pass on. So a hybrid vigor is not, it's not inheritable. It's part of doing the outcross. So it just is, that's a one-time thing that you're going to get. That's from the hybrid. And we mentioned that before, and they talked about it on that video. And Brian, for real. So I think a lot of people get that is when you see that kind of outcross and you get a very special dog from it, but he can't produce himself, right? He's a product of a hybrid vigor, but he can't reproduce those traits because that's not how it works. So you pay attention to those dogs that are able to produce. Yeah, they're generally, what are they? They're generally tightly inbred males,
right?
That produce the best, right? Because they are homozygous on a lot of their traits. Yeah, homozygous on a lot of their traits. So it's not, they get one gene from the mom, one gene from the dad. And because they're very inbred, those genes are the same, right?
Mm.
Genes are the same, regardless of which one they pass. It's the same gene. They're going to pass it on. So an outcross dog is not like that, right? You got a 50-50 chance. You got half mom, half dad. You don't know which gene he's going to pass.
Right. Yeah. What's up, RJ? And that's the thing. Like you if you have a scatterbred female, I feel like the best way to breed her is either play on something in her genetics that ties to what the male carries, or breed, if you're going to outcross it, breed to a heavily COI male, right? So that his genetics can offset. He's got a higher COI. His genetics can offset her lower COI, right? It'll raise it. Your litter now has a little bit more genetic consistency, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. But, one of the issues is that we see when you do an outcross and you see a lot of these, they got females that are very lacking and they take it to a stud that's very extreme, right? And they just don't get what they think they're going to get.
Well, nobody should expect to replicate the stud. You should only hope to improve the female.
Right.
I mean, it's plain and simple. The only way you can replicate or make a better product than the stud you bred to is bringing a female that's worthy of the stud.
Mm-hmm.
Because now they're on level playing field, right? And they're just going to create something next level, or they're going to truly create the reason you did the breeding.
Right.
But anybody who breeds to a stud, they shouldn't hope for that clone. They should just hope to improve the female that's in front of them.
Right. Because I feel like it's very tight breeding that clones the male.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's and most of the time, only the stud owner is going to pull that off because he has access to the stud all the time.
Right. I mean, unless the stud's got, he's got a pretty high genetic, like a pretty high COI, or he's the same top and bottom, right, that could help overthrow her genetics. You're rarely going to see a clone from an outcross, right?
No, not really. Yeah. I mean, it's just the way it is. And you see dogs that are complete. Here's the thing, as I've seen dogs that were bred to a very nice male that looks a certain way and a reasonably nice female. And what came from it is a dog that in some ways is superior to both of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And just like how the hell did that happen? You know what I mean? It just didn't. They just catch the right combination, and it just to say that we're even planning for this is ridiculous. Because when you look at it genetically wise, there's no way you can improve your odds slightly, but the fact is Mother Nature controls these combinations, and you are not, when you're in a new breed like this, you can't. There's no level of predictability at this point even. And we're 15 years in now, or 20 years in, or whatever.
20. Yeah, no, it's 20 plus, but
there's no level of predictability. You can get some degree, right? But those are breeders. We're starting to see more and more females that have phenotype, right?
Right.
Breeding to males of phenotype. And yes, they're getting consistent phenotype. That's all there is to it. But there are still leftover females out there that really lack in a lot of ways, being bred to males that have a lot of phenotype, and they're still not producing what they want to produce yet. It's going to take multiple generations, to get there. So it's tough when you're new and you're trying to do something, right? It's going to take you multiple generations. You can't get frustrated the first time you do a breeding and it didn't pop out a stack dog that you wanted, because it doesn't always happen.
Right.
or it doesn't happen most of the time, I should say. You know, Christopher, what the hell's his name? Anyway, he bred the 7 twice, right?
Yeah.
And the first time produced very predictable what I figured was going to come from it. You know, he had a grand champion female. Looked a lot like 7 in the face, but still carried a lot of mom's traits. You know, there was a male off of that breeding, and he looked a lot like 7. You know what I mean? But it still, you could see mom's, you know, effect on the breeding. And then he decides he's going to run 7 back again to this female. And my brain and your brain, what were we doing? We already ran it once.
Yeah.
And now I'm not going to run it again. But he's like, I'm going to run it again. All right. So he runs it again. And to this day, that breeding produced the closest thing I've seen to a 7 clone.
Really? The first one?
No,
the second one.
Second breeding.
The second breeding.
The second breeding produced the closest thing I've ever seen to a 7 clone.
So he played a game of odds, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know, like if I do it enough time, I'm increasing my chances every time.
Yep. Yeah. And it kind of blew me away, to be honest with you. It made me kind of say, am I being too particular about this run back? You know, let me show you. Let me tell you again. This doesn't look like 7 in the face. I'll kiss your ass.
Oh, holy shit. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a bull.
And that's on the second run.
That's a bull. Congratulations, dude. You know, I mean, in order to win the lottery, you got to play more than once.
Yeah. You can't win. You can't win if you don't play. But that is a perfect example right there of like, he had faith in that breeding. He felt like that breeding would produce something. Now, whether it did or did not give him what he wanted the first time, which I believe it did because he has, you know, champion dogs off of it, he wanted to run it again. He wanted to see what he would get from it. And
the dog's name is 14. It's a 2-time 7 breeding. I don't know.
So that made me really question run backs. I'm like, oh, okay. Because, you know, that was a consensus in our community is, hey, don't run that shit back. It ain't going to get any better. But the reality of it is you know, it's a lottery. Every time you run it, it's a different combination.
Be careful when you Google that. You might get like Pornhub or something.
Black hole theory. I mean, make sure your adult filter's on. That's all. That's fine.
Safe search.
But yeah, I mean, we know that combination, there's so many possible combinations that it does make sense that if you run it back, you could get an entire different combination of genes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You know, but a lot of people still say, yeah, if I ran it once, that was good enough. I'm not going to do it again.
Well, a lot of siblings don't look exactly the same.
Right.
Some might favor mom more. Some might favor dad more. This is just one of them where it favored dad, you know?
Yeah. And that's what, I mean, honestly, I have a feeling. I assume that's what he was shooting for, right?
Yeah.
Favoring dad. I'll put him on.
Yeah.
What did we talk about, Brian?
They're talking about the black hole theory.
No, the black hole. You know, I haven't Googled that one. I have no idea about it. Are you aware of that particular?
I am not. Now I'm curious.
Me too.
Maybe we won't do an open format on the podcast. In case something bad happens.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna do. Let me see. I'm gonna ask AI what it is.
Oh. Yeah, so I mean, for me, picking puppies is all what you did the breeding for. You're trying to create your own stud dog. You're trying to create a show dog? Are you trying to create consistency? Are you trying to create a litter that, has more of the genetic background that you like? Are you doing this breeding because it's step one in a 5-part series? Like, we all have different reasons for doing breedings.
Fancy. Thing is, it may do the same or better. Reason I don't do it is because maybe a better combo that may miss because you did the repeat. Well, and that's the other thing, right? You run it once, the female only has so many breedings, and are you willing to sacrifice yet another breeding to potentially get another litter that is exactly like the one you already did? And probably that is, imagine why most people don't run it back, even though, like I said, in that one case, obviously it worked out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I like the litter enough, yeah, I'll run it back.
Yeah.
If it gave me everything I was looking for, and I want more of it, why not?
I just firmly believe what I'm looking for doesn't exist, and the moment I do achieve what I'm looking for, then I won't be happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna want, you know what I mean? Because it's a moving target, right?
Yeah.
So I'm never gonna be happy. As soon as I achieve what I'm looking for, and then
you're on to the next
goal moves up. Like,
right.
this is good, so on to the next thing. Move it up again. Let me see. It's just as I had to look it up. Oh Lord, one of my girls' COI is at 16. I love her bully Jade. Oh, these long books. But it has a great pheno and geno. Oh, that's a question too. I don't know. I just scanned through it and there was a question mark. All right, let's look at it.
All right.
One of my girls' COI is at 16. I love her bully traits, great bone, hocks, and head. If I breed her to a bully with a higher COI, but has great pheno and geno, would I lose her looks and phenotype? I know it's a calculator Rix, guessing game, trying to understand COI of CO or better. Both bull has great first and second gens on their peds, but it's an outcross. Is that what I looked and saw?
Yeah. No, it didn't say anything about that. It's just a higher COI.
Okay, so there's 2 or higher COIs.
Yeah. I mean, it could be a breeding that ties in her genetics.
Yeah. Exactly. But in the COI of 16 is not high.
I mean, it depends on the stud, who you're using, what his COI is. If you're using that stud because you like his pheno, and your girl has the same genetic history, I mean, you could run the chance of creating what you want. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's all fucking calculated risk.
The fact that you like the way she is, that I mean, I feel like you're probably going to like the breeding because you're happy with her, right? Because she's going to have more of an effect on that breeding than he is. I know the community would like to convince you otherwise, just so they could sell you more stud fees. But the reality of it is your bitch has more of an effect on the breeding than the male does. He's going to put stuff out there. He's going to add to it, but you better be happy with how she looks because that's the puppies are going to reflect that the highest. If it's
an outcross,
okay, so the COI is completely irrelevant. Like it doesn't matter because when you breed that outcross, the COI number is going to fall through the floor. They're probably still related, but because it all probably may lead back to Dax or lead back to some dog 6 or 7 generations back. But yeah, so at the end of the day, you're probably going to like that. You know, you're probably going to like it. You're going to get hybrid vigor from the outcross. If she has phenotype, he has phenotype. Phenotypically, they're very similar.
Mm-hmm.
I say go for it. What I really have the problem with is people that breed two dogs that are phenotypically different, and it's an outcross. Okay, you just destroyed whatever that male carried. You just destroyed it. Like, so when the dogs are phenotypically similar, even if they're different bloods, if they're phenotypically similar, I feel like you're going to continue to push in the right direction. But too many times, you see a complete. Somebody asked earlier about breeding a 7-daughter to, who was it? 7-daughter to Oscar, and I'm like, that would be all over the place. 7 and Oscar are completely different dogs. You know what I mean? There's just like,
but if she carried the same style pheno, then at least you'll have an increased chance of creating consistent phenotypical dogs, right? If she's a big, massive bull and she's going to breed to another bull,
right?
You have a higher chance of creating more big ass bulls.
I know Oscar's father. Who's Oscar's mama?
Stink bug. That's Nemesis and Chaos.
Okay. So a lot of phenotype there too, obviously.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's the biggest thing I can tell you is I hope you're happy with your female, because that's what you're going to get. Yeah, you're going to get, for the most part, you know. I showed you a example of holy shit, how'd that happen? But pheno means more than anything. That's my man right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then, just like you said, when we're picking pups, you had mentioned earlier about trying to find a puppy that actually has more rear angulation than you actually.
That's what you're going for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you're going. You're trying to clean up that rear. You're trying to create a lot of better movement.
So you see those dogs. You see pictures of dogs in a show ring, and then you know that person that like overstacks the hell out of their dog. Like their hocks are like 2 feet from the rear.
Uh-huh.
That's what you want to see in a puppy.
Yeah,
because that turn to stifle shortens. Right.
You actually would prefer they almost be like a little bit sickle hawked when they're a puppy, very young puppy, to have too much angulation. It's funny because the first time I ever saw that is when I did the Nomi and Pilo breeding. Right, those puppies had a ton of angulation. Just watching them walk was uncomfortable because they just like there was so much moving going on back there. I was afraid they was going to hurt themselves. Right, but as you see, when those dogs grew up, Post Malone has great rear angulation. So, but they also had a longer leg. This is a taller dog. It's so hard to judge on a short dog,
Oh yeah.
I breed 2 dogs together all the time that have little Geno and make a better dog with a huge advancement. What's he talking about?
Who, Brian?
Yeah.
Brian breeds. Brian's like on another level when it comes to breeding. He breeds the dogs in front of him first.
But genotype, he's okay. So he's talking about pheno. He's talking about
he breeds the dog in front of him first.
Yeah.
And then he later understands the genetics behind each dog. And then Brian doesn't breed bloods.
Mm-hmm.
He breeds attributes, and it's hard to explain. I like having Brian on breeding talk. That'd be a whole nother episode.
This is true. Oh, we've had him on before. That's too much. Let me see. What's too much of one dog? Grim, I have 2X Grim female up front. She's 3X Rocco, 2X Grim meets 3X Bean. Okay, so that's an outcross. 2X Rocco to 2X Grim to 3X Bean is an outcross. So going to say golden child son. Is that too much Grim in one breeding?
So the female is 2 times Grim and
I'm
3
assuming
times Bean in Casablanca.
this is all the female. Like
and then
Grim, 3
to a
times
golden child son.
to a golden child son. So she's an outcross of Grim and Bean, basically.
I would look at the dogs in front of you.
And then take them back to golden child. My question is, why are you taking it back to golden child? That's it.
A GC son. So what's on the bottom of the GC son's pet?
Yeah. But regardless of his pedigree, why are you using that dog? Why are you using? Agent Orange and Body Count are way better dogs than either of their parents. They're way more extreme. They're much of an outcross as you could do. But the pheno combo made outrageous dogs. Yes, sir.
Monsters.
Always breed the dog, RJ Lloyd. Yeah. I like it. Now, don't get me wrong. I like looking at the pedigree. I do. Because
well, you're getting a better understanding of why that dog
is what it is.
Right.
Right. Yeah, you breed the dog that's in front of you, but you need to have a very good understanding of what it is that's behind it. Right? Because shit pops out. Shit pops out. And you don't want it to. So be aware, you know. And you have those dogs that they may look the part, but phenotypically, but mom, you look at mom and you're like, how'd that happen? Mom don't fit. You know what I mean? Mom don't fit. So when he breeds, he's either going to throw he's going to throw his mom's half or he's going to throw his father's half. You won't know. And I think that's one of the huge issues.
Right.
Is that's the huge issue of breeding a dog in front of you, because the dog in front of you could be a unicorn. You know what I mean? And he just doesn't have the genetics to back it up. That's the biggest concern for me. I believe it's 8:37 already. 8:37. So knowing why you bred the female, why you bred the male to your female, what were you doing it for? What was the point? What were you trying to do? All right. And then after you've done that and the puppies arrive, then you have to look for the solution. You have to look for, you said, I have a female that has an amazing rear. She moves great. She's got a full length tail, but her shoulder set is a little too far forward. I want a little more layback in the shoulder. And you found yourself a nice stud that has a good layback in the shoulder, and you bred him, right? Now what you're looking for is that layback in that shoulder. You want a combination of mom's good rear and the father's good layback in the shoulder. That's the whole purpose of your breeding. That's what you're looking for. That's your keeper. But if you came into the breeding with not a fucking clue what you're doing, then how are you going to make it? What are you picking? Like, how are you picking? What are you going to pick for? Because you didn't even know why you bred in the first place.
Right. I mean, in those circumstances, just pick the dog that looks almost like the stud you used.
Just be like, he's the coolest looking one.
Yeah. I mean, for me, and here's I don't know. This is what I always fall back to. It depends. I mean, it all depends why I did the breeding, right? But typically, the biggest factor that I always fall back to is balance.
Mm-hmm.
The puppy has to be balanced, right? Ratio wise, front to rear, you know. I would love to create a male that exudes bully and pheno and can be used as a tool for other people. I would love to do that.
Precious.
One day, maybe I'll be on that level, but as far as right now, I'm looking for balance.
Yeah.
I want the best dog in the litter that represents the reason I did the breeding. And that's usually the most balanced dog.
Let's bring up the boss man here and see what he has.
Because Samantha's overall goal is to put the production in the show ring.
Right.
Right. I can't necessarily put an extreme dog in the show ring and expect show quality results. Right. Two different styles. So balance is the key. You might have this pup that has the craziest front end, but you got a short back and it's stiff in the stifles, but you're trying to create a show dog. Like, that doesn't work. The mad scientist speaks.
Yes, I agree completely. He said amazing. Yeah. And again, that's why, yes, I'm looking at the pheno in front of me, but I have to look at the pedigree. And, we hear talks of like, oh, well, this is hung and this is probably hung and this is all hung and all this bullshit. And I'm like, don't deal with those people. Don't deal with those people. Deal with legitimate people that have generations they have no reason to lie to you. They have good pedigrees. If there's some question of the dog's pedigree, then I don't know. It throws up a red flag for me. Live up to what? Yes, but it's the same one I'm using right now. It just spins, turns around. It's pretty awesome. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I'm trying to think of like, I don't know. I just don't deal. I only deal with certain people, right? And I deal based off of the fact that they have a reputation of being good breeders. I deal with people that have a good reputation that wouldn't chance destroying their reputation to hang papers. What I mean? So if they send me a pedigree, I have no reason not to believe what they're sending me. Mm-hmm. Right. And I hear stories, after we did the show about co-owning, there was 2 women on Facebook. I don't know if you saw that, but they had a holy fucking war about this pup back deal they did.
Oh shit.
And they put it all out there. They put it all out. We're talking screenshots of the conversation and the whole 9 yards. And so I went through the conversation and I looked at it and I'm like, on both sides, I can see where shit went wrong. Where assumptions were made, and just because there was no contract, and feelings got hurt and people were working in their feelings, you know what I mean? And just all went sideways. And I'm like, how do you get yourselves in these situations? I never have that kind of problem. And it's just, who are you dealing with is what you need to figure out. To me, the pedigree is important. What breeding the dogs in front of me obviously is an important factor, but the pedigree is important too. There's too many unicorns out there right now. Later when the breed is more established and you have generational like bull in that pedigree, then the pedigree becomes less important.
Right.
Because there's generations of dogs that are well established already.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I can kind of look.
And that's, breeding the dog in front of you. Knowing. Yeah, I mean, when you have like established studs, like, I'll take Grim for an example. Grim has a litter with a nice female. And that result of that creates that person's next male stud, right? And he's nice, fits, checks all the boxes. And you take that male stud and you bring to another nice female, and that creates another. Like at that point, if I can name like the females and males on both sides of the pet, I have no reason not to trust the dog in front of me.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I know what it's going to produce.
Yes, exactly. Let me see something here. Make sure I didn't miss any. Yeah. Joe. I like Joe. Joe's learning. You know, Joe, this is that dog right there in this picture. I think it's Joe's first or second dog. And this boy has been putting in work. I mean, that boy has been putting in work. You can just tell by the way he talks. Like, this guy's been doing some homework.
Yep.
Also, it is a genetic lottery. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it doesn't. Amen on that. That is, we can, and that's the hard truth of everything, is that we can do all the homework in the world. We can plan the breeding. We can look at the pedigree. We can look at the dog in front of us. We can do everything we're supposed to do, and you still get a shit litter. It just happens. Now, all we're doing is we're improving our odds. That's all we can do. We can improve our odds by studying our pedigree, looking at the dogs in front of us, breeding away from bad traits. So the stud should bring something to the female, correct your female, correct something about your female. She doesn't have a head. She has good angulation. She moves great, but she has a tiny head. The male should be bringing that head. What dogs had the biggest head out of the micro pocket bullies you have seen in person? I don't really do micros. So pretty much everybody that I deal with, their target is a tall pocket to short standard. That's pretty much
go to shows.
Yeah.
Because I can never go outside and tell you lies on Facebook. You know, go to shows, see the dog in person.
Yeah. This is the truth. This is the truth. Even though, you know, my target's like tall pocket, for some reason, I do have a number of 13, 14-inch females for some reason. maybe a little shorter. And they're really my favorite, like Precious and Karen. I mean, these are some of my favorite dogs. These are Precious daughters. You know, these are some of my favorite dogs, but they're a little bit shorter, which is fine. They're highly inbred, so it makes sense that they're shorter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'll be the hybrid I create. Understand that's the goal. And people keep beating to me, and you assholes. I get so mad at them because I'm like, when they breed, they breed Future, right? They'll breed Future. I'm like, who are you breeding Future to? And they're like, oh, it's a Grim daughter. I'm like, damn it. They're doing though. It's taken me years to line this shit up, but they already have the established, you know what I mean? They're just going to take Future to a Grim.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to create the exact hybrid I was shooting to create. You know what I mean? But they're doing it already because they already have the established female.
Mm-hmm.
And I love when but you know, in some ways I hate they're doing it before me, but at the same time, I love it because I'm getting to see what that hybrid looks like
right.
What it honestly looks like. And that's exciting for me. I'm like, oh yes,
it is exciting.
It's
exciting to see what your stud creates. Yeah, what your stud helps to create, especially to a female that you are excited about breeding to.
Yep. Let me see if this is it right here. So this is, and without question, I think you'll look at this and you'll be like, I can see it. So this is Future to, I'm pretty sure it was a Grim daughter or somewhere in that range. But you see, look at this. Look at that. This is all Future right here. This is so predictably Future. Like all of that looks like Future to me. Everything.
That's a pretty pup.
Maybe a little bit more bone than Future, I think, right now at this age.
That's
but very nice, very predictable result from that. If as a breeder, I would be extremely happy. And that's not an 8-week-old puppy. That's like, I think they're 5 or 6 weeks, maybe. So I'd be extremely happy with that. And that's that hybrid I'm trying to build right there. That's what it'll look like. So I'm like, hell yeah, dude. Beat me to it. But
yeah.
But yeah, that's the goal right there. Unfortunately, because you know, Precious and all her daughters, they don't carry any color. They're fawn, blue fawn. That's it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of the future dogs are going to be fawn, blue fawn. You know what I mean? They're not going to be tried.
It's a very dominant
Yes.
color and pattern. It's very dominant.
Joe Mills, Izzy's my first successful purchase. I had a couple of co-owns tucked away. I'll be hitting my first show this weekend. All right, good job, man. Hans Burke was furniture. Is that what he said?
Future, bro.
Oh,
I like it.
your
I
last
like it.
reading.
I like it.
Keep it in the family.
I like it.
Here we go. Would you rather create your stud or buy a nice one that someone else is selling?
It takes a long time and thought, energy. In order to create a nice stud, you get a nice female. You have to have a nice female,
For sure.
So it depends. I mean, really, do you want to say I created this stud? Or you can purchase 2 dogs and create it that way, or you can build to create it, or you can just, there's no wrong answer.
No. Well,
it's what you do with the dog, really. It really matters. The only thing that really matters is what you do with the dog.
Exactly.
Buy, create, whatever. It's what you do with it.
I would say I've never had an ego for I produced it or I bought it. I could give a shit less.
Mm-hmm.
I could give a shit less. When I champ or grand champ a dog I purchased versus champ or grand champ a dog I produced, I don't feel any different about it. I'm excited for both. I don't feel any, some people are like, oh, you feel different with your production. I don't. I just don't. Because the reality of it is that the dog I purchased, it was been at my house since it was 8 weeks old. No,
right.
I did not go do a C-section. I did not set that breeding up. There's a lot of things I didn't do, but I've had that dog since it was 8 weeks. In a lot of ways, that dog is what he is because of me.
Right.
And
exactly it.
And it shouldn't discount how proud you are of the dog because you weren't involved in the first 8 weeks when the dog's 2 years old.
Right.
To me, it seems crazy. Brandon, I would rather buy. I don't like to whelp. Yeah. Understandable.
Like I said, there's no wrong answer. It's what you do with the dog.
There are plenty of times when I've questioned my own sanity. And, now it gets harder because, Dina's doing the real estate thing. Of course, I have my own business. So time-wise, it makes it tough. Now we have trying to manage a litter. It's tougher. It's tougher now. But that was always my whole goal was to just breed. Just keep breeding and breeding. Dina was the one that says, you know what? I like to go on a show run. That girl put it out there for a long time. But that's all I care about. I just wanted to breed, keep breeding until it produced something I was looking for. The thing I was wanting to create. And I'm there. I'm closer.
And I mean, that's really all you should expect from yourself, is steady progression, getting closer to your end result,
100% what you do with the dog. You can't compete with it.
Yep.
Because there's lots of time, like
dogs.
Precious is a good example. I sat around and talked to Sam, and I said, we're going to grand champ this girl, But it all said and done, after it was all over, Sam was like, I'm glad you did. You said, I would have never done that. I would have never done that with her. I would have never went through all that to grand champ her, Because that was a dog he was not trying to give up. I'll tell you that. Like he wasn't giving it, he wasn't selling her to nobody. But even, at that point, like I consider him a friend of mine. I think he considered me friend, and he still wasn't trying to give her up to me either. And Dino was just like, I gotta have that dog. I bugged the shit out of that man for a long time. Honestly, I think he probably finally co-owned her with us just because he got tired of hearing it. But we did a lot with her. You know what I mean? We did a lot
Right.
with that dog.
Oh yeah. Nobody could take away any accolades, regardless of where she came from. It's what you do with her. It's what you do with these dogs.
Yeah. But that's a pro for a co-owned situation. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Where the co-owner, you co-owned the dog out. They did more with the dog than you would have ever done.
Right.
And they bred the dog the way you wanted it to be bred. And they took all the responsibility of doing the breeding. There's a lot to it.
Right.
So having an eye for talent is a skill also. Some people miss picking off their own litter. That comes with time, learning how to make picks for sure. An eye for talent skill also. Some people miss picking off their own litter. Have an eye for a pup off a litter that is not yours should feel the same way as the in-house producing. This is true. Because this, the weird part is, like I said, this litter that was born when that puppy came out, I immediately looked at that dog and I said, that looks like Future. Looks exactly like Future. Like everything about him looks like Future right now. And he's like 5 days old. So we'll see if I'm right. But to me, when I'm looking at him, I'm like, it looks like another Future to me is what it looks like.
Yeah.
But eventually, that's that breeding a same female multiple times is being able to see her offspring and what influence she has on it. We've had 3 different studs, the Precious, and at the end of the day, they all come out looking like Precious. Now, mind you, one was her grandfather, one was her father. So that part makes sense.
Yeah.
But even this one, it still looks like Precious. She had a major influence on the result. What's this? I wouldn't have gone through that either. Show ring is not worth it for me. But it got to be something you really enjoy and value. And I agree. I agree with that 100%. Because, and I think, Han, you're kind of the opposite. You guys are focused on that. That's the part of a lot of it that you enjoy is going to shows and kind of saying, I built this thing and now I'm going to take it here and I'm going to get confirmation that I'm doing the right thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and a lot of that's Samantha, her desire to, she fell in love with the breed because she stumbled across a show. She stumbled into a show and decided that this is what she wants to do with her life, so that will never go away, and the fact that I had mentioned before, we're campaigning 2 number 1 dogs. So you gotta love going to shows, you have to enjoy it.
Exactly. No, that's the end of the day. You have to. Either a show bug gets you or it doesn't, right? Because I feel like we will still go to shows and we will still compete, even if it makes no fucking sense to do it. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know at the end of the day, you're gonna hang these things back here, right here. See these? At the end of the day, no one ever asked me to see them. You know what I mean? When they're trying to use one of my studs, they don't give a shit about them pieces of paper. You know what I mean? Yeah. But for me, it's an accolade. You look at that and say, look, this is what I did. This is what I did. But not everybody puts value on that. I don't feel like we talked about as much about keepers as we should have here, but
2.
But
I don't know.
Welcome to the show because that's how it goes.
Just break it down. It depends on why you did the breeding.
Yeah.
Why did you use the stud? That particular stud. Picking a keeper should be a balance between both parents. That's why you did the matchup, right? And you can't expect to clone the male, just improve the female.
And if you breed 2 dogs together that have a fundamental issue, whether that's a shitty front, shitty rear, and they both have it, then the whole fucking litter is going to have it. Like that's what you should expect. That's just how it is. Don't breed bad to bad.
Right. Right.
I have no problem breeding to a dog. I can look at a dog and say, this dog fundamentally has this bad thing. But my bitch that I breed him to will never have that bad thing. Whatever it is.
Right.
You know, the breeding.
You want to compound.
Right. I never want to compound a negative ever.
Mm-hmm.
So, but part of that is, guess what? Go see the dog. You have to go see the dog. You can't make those decisions not putting hands on a dog. You have to see it.
It's too much money to just go off a picture.
Yeah. I mean, if it costs you $500, let's say you live in, I don't know, say you live in Pennsylvania, and the dog you want to breed to is in Georgia. Okay, that's a suck ass drive. It is. It's a long way. Mm-hmm. And it may cost you $300 in gas and $500 for a hotel room, whatever. But you go and you put hands on the dog, and it could save you $5,000 in a stud fee.
Right.
Because it cost you, and we talked about that when I said the vehicle inspection thing when I was looking at a car.
Right.
Pay a little bit up front or pay a lot later.
Right. Or lose.
Yeah. Or lose. Yeah.
You know,
at the end of the day, it's always best. I've got what do I got? 4 or 5 studs now. I don't care. Come and see them. I don't care. Put hands on them. And if you come and you're disappointed with what you see, then that's my failure. I should have better informed you of what you were coming to see. You know what I mean? No one's ever going to come to me and say, "Hey, I want to breed a Machiavelli because I'm trying to produce a show dog," and I'll be like, "I'm not sure that's going to work. Is that all yours?" Woo! You're going wild.
Yeah, I know.
But
it's probably dinner time.
But I've had people do it. You know, I've had people take Machiavelli to show dogs and produce an amazing looking dog. You know, but I feel like I know what my dog's best, what their target, what their purpose is. So if you talk to me, I will tell you why. If you want to use it, I'll tell you what you stand to gain from it. I'll be 100% honest with you, because what I don't want you to do is drive 4 or 5 hours to show up here and be like, "What the fuck is this?" You know, you know what I mean? I don't want to waste your time. I want you to use the dog and be happy. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah.
The dog's a person. Yeah. It's always best to do that. Always best. That's probably the number one thing I can encourage anybody to do before you do a breeding. Get in the car, go see the dog. Go see the dog.
Yeah.
Go see the dog. They can hide it in pictures. They can hide it in a show ring. It just is what it is.
Right.
No substitute for seeing a dog in person. So an inbound overpowers outcross female? No.
I would say it would an outcrossed female.
So an
inbred male.
Yeah. So an outbred will not overpower. Now, that puppy is still going to be a sum of whatever she is. Now, okay. So here's the problem: is we have these little, we understand traits as A and B. Okay. He has, we look at color. He's brown. So he has 2 copies of brown, right? And she carries brown, but she's not brown, right? So 50% of the puppies are brown. And that's where we look at traits like muscling and bone, right? But it's not. Those are polygenic traits. It's a bunch of genes that are all the combination of all these genes are what make up their muscle and their head size. It's not just a single gene that does that. So all you're doing with a highly inbred male is you're improving the odds of receiving the gene you're looking for, because he is homozygous, or he has 2 copies of the exact same gene. Right. So whether you get gene A or gene B, they're the exact same. So you're going to get it. With an outcross male, 50% of him is his mom, 50% of him is his dad. So if what you're looking for in that outcross male is what his father was, well, he is only 50% his father. So you have a 50% chance of receiving it. And then you have an outcross female that's 50% some other dog, 50% some other dog. So consistency is tough. You need, The tighter you breed, the more consistent it's going to be. The important thing is that you're not compounding negative traits also. Okay. So you got to clean the dogs up. You may have to go out to clean things up, but then you can start compounding. When you compound, then you start getting those traits. Trust me, it sucks. It makes my head hurt sometimes. So I have to. Did he already say that? Yeah, he already said that.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Look, it is 9:04. Hans' dog said, "Come and feed me, asshole."
Yeah.
They're saying, "Come and feed me." So we're going to let this man go feed his dogs. I appreciate you tuning in. Like every other show, we come in with a subject and then we end up talking about whatever.
Yeah, everything else.
But hopefully we covered a little bit. If you do have questions, hit us up next show. Maybe we just do a show where we don't have a damn subject. We just, hey, here's the show. It is what it is.
Just
be whatever.
go with the flow.
If y'all show up, if 100 people show up and start asking questions, then maybe we could do that. But I like to have some kind of plan just to motivate people into generating questions. So if you would, thank you for watching this week. We appreciate you. We'll see you next week. If you would, just share the show. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, just share the show out for us. Just get some people. OG Ramos just got here. Why don't you get here a little earlier next week? And then we'll throw you on the show and start asking you a bunch of questions.
There we go.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Have a good one. Later.
Appreciate it, guys.